Today we remember a shining star whose light was extinguished far too soon. Daina Gucci Monroe, the 18-year-old volleyball prodigy whose remarkable talent and unyielding spirit captivated the hearts of many, has left us unexpectedly. Known for her grace on the court and her infectious positivity, Daina's journey was nothing short of inspirational. Join us to hear her story on Monday Morning Motivations with The Truth with Miss Lee. Welcome back to The Truth with Miss Lee. Our next guest coming on is a dear family friend of ours, Mr. Darren. He's going to talk about his daughter, Daina Gucci Monroe. Hi, Darren. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Now,
I really appreciate this.
I
Thank you.
appreciate you coming on here because although as you get to telling your story, it's going to be, hard for me to stay on topic with it because it is something that is very traumatic. But I do want you to know that yes, you are a dear close friend to the family, my sister, my brother, all of us, my parents,
Right,
and everybody.
right,
So I'm
right.
so happy that you decided to talk to me on the show. And let's go ahead. Tell me about Dana.
Okay. So, you wanted me to start at the beginning. So
Yes.
I'm going to start at the beginning.
Okay.
Um, Dana was born in a traumatic way. Um, During this part of my life, I was in a marriage, married to her mom, and she had two older sisters and two older brothers. She was the baby of the family. And she was actually, my ex wife was pregnant at this time. And we were leaving my son's football practice for the Baldwin Bruins. Go Bruins. What's up, Val? All of you guys. But anyway, so we were leaving and we were heading to our home. At the time, we lived in Hawthorne. So Baldwin Bruins is more like in the practice field is right next to Dorsey High School. So for those who are not familiar, it's maybe about 10 to 15 miles away, uh, maybe even 20 uh, between two spots. And we were driving down Crenshaw Boulevard, and I was approaching a light. And as I was approaching the stoplight, you get that moment where you decide, well, it's green, it's yellowy, but it ain't red, so you're going to go ahead and go
Yellowy.
through
That
it,
is not
right?
a word. Yellowy. So it's green or
That's
yellowy.
that's that decision moment you're trying to make. You know what I mean? If you're gonna go through it or not. And I did, and it just so happened that there was a car making a left turn who didn't pay attention to me, and I T-boned this car. Again, her mom is a few weeks away from having given birth. And so the ambulance came. She goes to the hospital. The next day, of course, we have to go back to the hospital. So when we go back to the hospital, when we get there, they immediately tell us if we don't get to the delivery room in a matter of minutes, then it's going to be a problem because the umbilical cord was wrapped around her
Mm.
as a result from the accident. So Dana was born successfully. Her mom, it was actually her first C-section because that's the way because of the umbilical cord they couldn't do it the
Mm-hmm.
traditional way. So when she came into this world, of course, we were ecstatic, and ironically, which was something that I've spoke about a million and one times, the doctors told us that if Dana was a quarter of a centimeter longer, she would have been a world record baby for birth.
Really? How big was Dana?
Now, I didn't study for the test. I don't remember.
That is not a test. I thought maybe you was gonna, because I know Dana was tall, a tall
Yeah,
young
she
lady.
was.
So I was just
Dana,
curious to see
she ended
how
up being
big.
about 6'3", 6'2". Mm-hmm.
Yes, Dana was tall.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and it was one of those things to where in life, she was always the tallest amongst her peers. It
Hmm.
wasn't until she got to high school that everybody started catching up. But I used to love picking her up from elementary because I never had an issue finding her. You know what I mean? Like it could be like 100 kids out there,
And
and I
you
could see her
see
a mile
Dana
away
coming.
because she was almost as tall as the teachers. And her babysitter actually had to apologize to us because she said to us one day I was picking her up, and Dana might have been in maybe the fourth or fifth grade. She said, "You know what? I owe you guys such a big apology." She said, "I had to apologize to Dana today as well because I was trying to get the kids to clean up their mess, and I kind of yelled at Dana like she was a bigger kid, and I had to remember she's
Mm.
only, like 6 years old, 7 years old. So she's always been the tallest amongst her peers. And you know what's so funny?
What?
I'm gonna send you a picture of her when she was 5 years old cheering for Baldwin Hills Bruins, and you're
You
gonna
know,
just
I
like,
think, does she have on blue and black?
yeah.
I saw
Mm-hmm.
that picture. Yes, she is towering over all those little girls.
And they're all the same age. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So
they look like they come to Dana's waist almost.
yeah,
Like
exactly,
they're,
exactly,
yeah, yeah. Dana was very
exactly.
tall, very
Yeah.
tall.
So eventually, because at the time with my oldest son, we were a football family, and now with my youngest son, who was Dana's and her mom, the same mom, um, we are now a second time around football family, and now here comes Dana. So we added cheer into it.
Mm.
And so Dana started cheering when she was 5 years old. And the picture that we were talking about, I love telling the story because her second year of cheering, um, they had two teams that was like the same age bracket, and they treated Dana's team like they were the bad news bears. Like they gave them the worst of everything. They gave them the corner to practice in, the whole 9 yards, right? And so they have this big jams competition for
What
cheering
it's
every
called the
year in
cheer
Las
off.
Vegas,
It was a cheer
right?
off, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So right before after the football season, they prepare for jams, and this is like maybe a 2 months going to practices every a couple of times a week, etc. But during this whole time, they got my daughter's team like in a almost in a closet. You know what I mean? Doing their
I
practicing,
I felt like
and
that too. I
I'm
was
a
a cheer
real
coach, and they did my team like that too. So
right,
I understand. Yeah, they kind of gave us the scraps with everything. We was, yeah. So I understand what Dana was going
right,
through.
right. So, but me, I'm a kind of hey, how you doing in your face kind of guy in a joking, fun way. I'm not abrasive with it at all, but um, it bothered me, and I let it be known. And why y'all got my baby in the corner, type of thing, right? So
As you
fast forward
should.
to,
I said as you should.
right.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the actual jams competition. How about Dana's team ended up placing first out of two of the three categories. In the other category, they got second place. But the whole story, they beat the team that was supposed to be the star team at Baldwin as well. So that was her first induction into performing in front of a large crowd and actually
Mm.
stepping up and doing what she needed to do because she was extremely talented in so many areas. I myself have thought that she might end up becoming a director of photography
Oh,
because she would take these abstract pictures of flowers or ladybugs on the leaf or a cloud, and they would just be stunning pictures. I'm in the film industry. I used to show her pictures off to my fellow filmmakers, and they would all be impressed that she even had her eye like
I
that.
was gonna say that. So she had an eye for beauty
She did. She
and
did. She did.
photography. I now
Uh
that's
huh.
something I didn't know. We didn't speak about that before. I wish that you had some pictures of her photography on her Instagram so I can go
It
see.
is, but it's way at the bottom. When she
Oh
first
yeah.
started her Instagram, that's where, a lot of her stuff, because I was so anti Instagram, we were monitoring everything she
Mhm.
posted in the whole 9 yards. So she just kind of resulted to these images. You know what I mean? So, but in addition to that, so uh, She could dance, like whatever the latest dance step is, she's on it. And she can sing. And her biggest talent, that the one that she actually fostered the most, was her art.
Mm.
Dana was an amazing artist. It's in her blood. Her uncle is a gentleman by the name of Ed Bell. And if anybody Googles Ed Bell, they'll find out that he's the equivalent of maybe a Steven Spielberg in the animation world.
Oh,
Ed
okay.
Bell is the creative director of the Unhappily Ever series. Remember those series in the 90s where it was like Robert Guillaume and Oprah, they were doing the voices for like Little Red Riding Hood and all of that stuff?
Well, I
You
don't
remember that?
remember it. No, but
Okay.
that's just
But
me.
anyway,
I don't never
uh,
remember anything. Everybody gets on me about that.
well, you know, you got kids around that time, so they might have been something you might have popped in to tell them to be quiet and go in the room. But
That's probably
anyway,
exactly what happened.
exactly. So, but anyway, he's an extremely accomplished artist in the animation world. I would go on so many different commercials and other animated things that he's done, but I see you didn't even remember Unhappily Ever After, so
No, the
we
name I
wanted to show
remember,
them.
but I don't remember the series. Unhappily Ever
Oh, okay.
After. I'm sure my
It's
kids
actually called
watched that.
Happily Ever After,
Oh, it's
yeah.
called
And it
Happily.
was yeah, and it was basically like Little Red Riding Hood and the Three Little Pigs. It was all children's stories, but it was uh, African American themed animation, and like Johnny Perez would do the voiceover, Robert Guillaume, Oprah Winfrey, those types, who were all A-listers at that time. They
Mm-hmm.
lend their voices for these characters. So
Now you're
Dana
gonna make
was
me go
actually
look it up.
Oh yeah, no, and as well as all of your listeners as well, because they will actually revisit something for those that are our age group, but for those who are new parents, it's an amazing series for them to share with their children. To be honest, but she had so many talents, and then we did cheering. That was what we were going to be on. I didn't want her to do basketball,
Well,
and I
because
didn't
of
know
her height,
anything.
she wasn't into
Well,
it.
it wasn't that she wasn't necessarily into it, because she was open to anything,
Oh, well,
right?
that's good.
And huh?
That was good because I thought maybe because you didn't want her to do basketball because it's almost like stereotypical, like oh, the tall African American girl play
I mean,
basketball.
just to be honest, I didn't want her to be in basketball because, uh, I just want to let this know. I want everybody listening know that don't cancel me for what I'm about to say. Okay, uh, I am LGBTQ friendly, right?
mm,
But that basketball woman's world is,
mm,
I think it's so inundated with the lesbian culture, to
oh,
where I wanted her to be able to make her own choice in life and not be influenced.
I
I
got you.
happen to have a friend of mine, and I'll leave them out of this, their names out of this, but his daughter was a star basketball player recruited from like Tennessee and UConn, which in women's basketball are, like saying, Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, you know what I mean? Like two of the biggest women's college teams in America traditionally is UConn and Tennessee. And she generated all of this attention in her ninth and 10th grade year. By the time she got to her senior year, she didn't want to play basketball anymore because she was being harassed too much by
Mm.
her teammates, and put into situations to where she was uncomfortable because that wasn't her sexual orientation.
Oh, that's
And as
unfortunate. That's unfortunate. It
I'm so
seems it's kind of you don't hear this part of it. You don't hear the behind
yeah,
the scenes part of women's basketball like this.
yeah,
So that's
it was
unfortunate.
very very disappointing to her, and it was disappointing to me to witness her go through the pain of it. As me being her pseudo uncle, you know what I mean? Um, and I just didn't want to put Dana through any of that, to be honest with you. Again, like I said, I don't have a problem. If that's your orientation, that's your orientation. But I feel like that's a choice
Mhm.
that a person shouldn't be influenced in making. Yes, people are born with certain inclination, but Dana wasn't. And I didn't want her to be influenced just because this is the group of friends that she's around. You know what I mean?
No, I
So,
totally understand. I totally get that. I
yeah,
mean, it's
yeah,
and when they're young, they're very impressionable at that age as well.
exactly,
You know,
exactly,
and I know that
exactly.
we had discussed at one point the last time we talked, we discussed how Dana sometimes felt about herself. So if she had some insecurities or if she thought people didn't like her,
Exactly.
then that would be
Exactly.
a very negative influence, I think, on it. If
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
know, when did she
I agree. I
start?
mean,
When did she start getting involved with volleyball?
so interesting story. I love telling this story. Okay. So Dana's in the fifth grade and it's about the end of the school year. And um, she had to use the bathroom. And my kids went to Culver City schools, Culver City elementary and middle schools and high school, right?
Hmm.
And so her brother was at football practice, and Dana is running around being a fifth grader. Uh, and she said, "Dad, I gotta use the bathroom." And now I'm like, "Oh my God, the bathrooms are so far." But of course, we got to go, right? So I'm like, so with the way Culver City, the middle school, so basically there's an elementary, a middle school that's actually in the middle of the three schools, and then the high school.
Hmm.
So we're in the back of the high school. So I was able to get to the middle school because I thought that's the only place where she could probably use the bathroom, right? And I was heading toward the library or the office, and we passed the gym, and a volleyball bounced out. My daughter ran maybe full speed or three quarters of it. I never timed her speed, so I don't know how fast she was. But she just took off after this ball. And at this time, she might have been 5'6", maybe 5'7". And remember, she's not even in middle school yet, right? And she bent and scooped up the ball with one hand in such a fluid motion. I myself was a basketball player in school. My sons are football players, so I can recognize an athlete when I see one, right? And the way she picked up that ball, scooped it up, and threw it in the gym, her and I walked immediately into the gym. I I saw the coach. His name was Marty Tanner, and Marty Tanner at the time was the middle school, Culver City Middle School's head coach. But Marty also had a club called Culver Volleyball Club, Culver City Volleyball Club, and we happened to be there when they were having practice for the club, right?
Hmm.
So I walked in and I said, "Hey, this is my daughter. You see how tall she is. What grade do you think she's in?" He said, "Eighth grade, seventh, eighth." I said, "No, she's in the fifth grade." He couldn't believe it. I said, "What's up with this sport?" He said, "You know what? We have club signups coming up next week. You guys here?" He gave me all the information, and we were there the next week. And that's how we started our volleyball journey.
Hmm. So she's been playing volleyball since about fifth, sixth grade.
About the sixth grade, which in the volleyball world is about 4 years too late.
Oh, really?
Hmm. The volleyball players are starting around maybe 6 years old.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, even
They
by
may
her,
even 5 years old too, to be honest with you.
but
Hmm.
even by her being a late bloomer in the sport, we're gonna fast forward
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
her astonishing high school career.
Well, before we get there, we got to talk about her cover time.
Oh, okay.
So when we started the club, it just so happened that they had their tryouts for the very first night, right? And I know nothing about the volleyball world at all. And I misread the flyer, but I knew we had the tryouts on this particular night. So we get to Culver City High School, and we're about maybe 7 to 10 minutes late. And when we walk into the gym, they're already in line hitting drills against at the net, right? And I tell Dana, run out there, just go. And she's actually has played uh, one season of middle school volleyball before this had happened.
Oh,
And the
good.
middle school volleyball season was is probably from August to November, so it's real short, right? And this was in October, and so when she runs out there, she's hitting drills the whole 9 yards, and I go take my seat in the stands, and I'm sitting in the stands, and the coach at the time, whose name I will not mention because he ended up being a horrible person and coach in Dana's life.
Oh,
Like, no
goodness.
joke. Horrible, horrible, horrible,
Well,
horrible.
we don't need to
But
discuss
anyway,
him. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not even gonna mention him, but he is relevant to the story. So he walked up to me, which I was like, okay, why are you coming up here? Because I'm sitting at the top, like football style, right? The top of the bleachers, trying to see everything. And he walked up and he said, That's your daughter? And I said, yeah. He said, how old is she? And at the time, she was in sixth grade, so she was maybe 11 or 12, right? 12. And I said, she's 12. And he said, this is the trials for the 18-year-olds, right? I'm like, no, I didn't. But the thing is, she was out there doing it. She was hanging with them. And even after practice, I said, what happened? What was other girls? She said, the other girls couldn't believe I was 12 years old. Like, they were just couldn't believe it. And I was like, wow, okay. So that was my first inclination of it, right? And then as we started that season, there was an Asian mom. Her name was Karen, and I'll never forget Karen because she's actually the first person to make me think, oh, there's something here. So she had walked up to us while we was in a tournament in Carson, and she said, you know what? You need to start thinking about Dana in the Olympics. And I said, what? She said, no, you need to be thinking about the Olympics for her. And then so I was like, oh, okay. And then so it just so happened because like that was the first game of the season. So as we started the season, after every game, either my ex-wife or myself were being, talked to by other parents from the other teams or the referees asking us, how come our coach, didn't play Dana more? And he must be crazy because she's amazing.
Well,
So if it
was
wasn't
Dana
for
with
the
the
comment,
12-year-olds or was she with the 18-year-olds?
she was with the 12 years old
Mm,
at that time playing at her own age group, but she's still towering over everybody.
yeah.
Her athleticism was different than a lot of girls her age. During that time, people are coming into their own bodies,
Mm-hmm.
let alone, where they are mentally. You know what I mean? So um, she just was, she just kind of took to it. And if it wasn't for Karen saying that to me, and it wasn't for the reaction because the team was like not really good, right? And there were times when he wouldn't play Dana, and I mean for stretches, and you know I wasn't bothered, but it was like my first experience. I didn't really know what I
What to
had, right?
expect.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I didn't understand it. So long story short, uh, he ended up being extremely horrible as a coach and as a man and as a father. And I hope he hears this so he can check himself. Because when we left the club, so he treated Dana horribly the whole entire season. And the reason why, and I can understand it to a degree, because he was the coach. Usually in volleyball, there's two or maybe even three coaches. He was so egotistical, he was the only coach. And he didn't realize Dana had no experience playing this sport. So instead of him fostering this and saying, I have a nice ball of clay I can mold, he kind of just played her spottingly. Either we were winning or we were losing, and now here comes Dana, right?
You know what I thought you were gonna say?
So
I thought you were gonna say
huh,
he's the coach and his daughter was on the team, because
his
that's
daughter was on the team
oh,
as
see,
well, and
that's
his daughter,
usually
yeah, he treated his daughter like she was a star player,
yes.
and she was good, she was, but in my volleyball travels since then, I'd give her a C, maybe a B, as far as skill level at that time, right? And the reason why uh, I just, I just think he's just a horrible person is that when it kind of became clear that to me that I had something in my hand to work with, and I could see the writing on the wall that he wasn't going to really put too much effort and energy in her. It was almost towards the end of the season, and I had already decided because Dana was like, I don't ever want to play volleyball
I
again.
was
I can't
going
stand
to
this
ask you
sport.
that. I was going to say,
Yeah,
did
she
she
was.
want to play in the beginning,
mm,
or
She wanted to. No, when we before we started that club, she loved. She was falling
oh,
in
she
love
didn't
with it
like
because
his
she
leadership?
had her first. She had her first season of playing middle school. So just to kind of rewind, the volleyball season starts in high school or middle school in August. And that runs until November. And if you're in high school, that may go into December because of playoffs. The club season starts practice in October, and they will start their season in December.
Mm,
And the club season goes all the way until the 4th of July weekend.
dang.
Guess what? The girls got a couple of weeks off before they have to start going to school practice. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
So of course, she's excited because she's like the star player on her middle school team, like literally the star, and her and Sophia actually at the time, and she didn't want to play volleyball after that season with I almost said his name. She didn't want to play volleyball after having that experience with that coach. Now me, I'm like, okay, I got something on my hands. So I told my ex-wife at the time, I said, look, we're not even gonna worry about volleyball. We're gonna wait until school season next year starts. We're gonna wait a couple of games. Then we're gonna check in with her to see how if she's falling back in love with the sport. I'm gonna find a different club. So, um, just circling back to the horrible coach, when we finished the season, like I want to say maybe a month before that, he didn't even talk to Dana anymore. Didn't even say anything to her in practices or any of that. And then when we ended up leaving, because his daughter is the same age, guess what we did? We ended up playing them
Mm,
club year for the next 2 years. We ended up playing against her for high
because you
school
guys
for
were
the
at
next
another
four
club
years.
now.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so for the next 6 years, every time we saw him, he wouldn't even say anything to her. Now,
How?
meanwhile, his daughter is, hey, Dana, how you doing? But by the time they got in high school, she's sneaking to say hi.
Oh,
And
that's
that
unfortunate.
devastated her. That devastated her in so many ways. I mean, she just couldn't understand what she did to this grown up to get the reaction to where he's not even gonna say hi. Fast forward to her junior year of high school, we played against them. He was a coach at El Segundo High, and we played them, and Dana just demolished the team. And as him and the coach and his daughter were walking towards me and my daughter, his daughter snuck away, and Dana said, "You know your dad doesn't want you talking to me, but I still love you," to his daughter, and that just goes to show you her empathy for people,
Not
but
just
also her
empathy. That was
acknowledging.
her. Like she
Yeah,
just off of her pictures I see. She's such a beautiful soul. She's her light. You
yeah,
could just see it. You could just see it. And then
yeah.
all the friends that she has on there. How long
Oh
did
my
Dana
goodness.
play volleyball?
So again, we started late, so she only played from sixth grade till the 1 year in college. So
She
what is that? 7 years? Yeah, seven seasons, but that's maybe might be like 9 years. I think
When
if I
she,
was to do the calendar.
so about 9 years worth of playing. When she
Hmm.
was in, I heard you say 1 year of college. When she was in high school, how many scholarships did she get to play?
35.
She got 35
Hmm.
scholarships.
So let me tell you the college story.
Yes.
So when we left Culver Club, I found a club right around the corner at West LA College, and there's a man by the name of John Anselmo. I love John. John is amazing. His wife, his daughter, everything about West was amazing. When John, so let's rewind. So we're back in middle school, just the season, and Culver Culver City's volleyball club is not even a half a mile away from where West Volleyball Club practices. So John comes up in his West volleyball gear. These parents acted like it was a Crip coming into a blood meeting. They were like, "What is he doing here? Oh my God, why is he here?" They were just all in the uproar over why he was here, right? And I was like, "Well, he's coming to see Daina." And so, long story short, he wanted her. Now, Daina's 13 years old. So he put Daina on a 15-year-old team. And Daina played two, 3 years at West. And the first year she was 13 playing 15s. The second year she was 14 playing 16s. And then the last year she was 15 playing 18, right?
Mhm.
Because of her skill level, her height,
Mhm.
it was better for her to be play up than it was her age level.
That's true.
Um, and so the only reason why we didn't stay at West, because I'm a Raiders fan, like your pops and your brother. You know what I mean? And
My
we
pops
die
is
hard.
not a
You know what I mean?
Raiders fan. He is a
I thought your
Cowboy.
dad was a Raiders fan.
No,
Didn't
that
I
was my
see?
ex-husband was a Raiders fan.
Okay, got you. I knew it was another Raiders fan besides your brother.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, so I'm gonna win or lose with my team. So with John, um, and West Volleyball Club, this is where we were gonna be. The only reason why we ended up leaving West was because he wanted her to stay at the 18 level, and all of those girls were now talking about boyfriends and sex, and I didn't want her around
And
that.
she was
You
16,
follow
right?
me? Yeah, I didn't want her
Mhm.
around that
Mhm.
exactly. So that was the reason why we left. But she said no, she wasn't. She was 15.
Mm.
She was 15 actually. So I'm sorry, I said 3 years. We only did 2 years there. But she did the no, we did 3 years. But because her birthday's in January, she wasn't. You see what I'm saying? So
Oh, she
she
hadn't
hadn't
turned
turned. Yeah, she
16
hadn't
yet.
turned 16 yet. Okay, got you. So when we're at West, and John, he used to always tell me, he said, "You are not gonna have to worry about your daughter going to college. They are going to find your daughter. Don't worry about it."
And that
And I was
sounds
like,
like that's
"Okay, John."
exactly what happened.
Now, here's the crazy part. So, as I'm now getting acclimated in the volleyball world, I've now discovered that there's levels. The gold level is the top level, all the way down to copper, right?
Mm.
And we were somewhere in between bronze and silver. And what that means at these big out of state tournaments, you have the the gold level. I think it's a level above gold too. I want to call it diamond or something. I forget what it's called. But they would be in one section of a hall, and then everybody else would be over here in another section, right? And we were in Las Vegas, and I was like, when I went to the gold section, you're seeing college recruiters walking around with iPads and their sweatsuits and their jackets. I mean, you name a college, they're there from D1 to D3s, NAIAs, uh, NCAAs. They're all there. And so I was getting a little butthurt, like, how come there's no colleges over here with us, right? So
Mm.
we leave Vegas. How about Dana's very first letter was from the University of Florida Gators? Soon as we got back from Las Vegas, like wasn't even 4 days later, she got a letter from the University of Florida was the first one. Her second one was from Marquette University, and her third one was from Wyoming. All three of those um, letters arrived before that next Friday. So I was like, whoa, John, you are not playing. So now I'm all in it, right? And so as we continue playing more tournaments, he's walking over to me like I met the head coach of the University of Arizona. He's giving me all these business cards that these coaches want to talk to Dana about. So when we finished with West, I want to say um, we may have had, and at this time, there, just questionnaires they want to find out and they want to know. They haven't started the actual recruiting process, right?
Because wait, because
Um,
Dana's only 15 though, right?
she is at this time.
And so
Yeah,
she's getting her college letters at 15.
yeah, uh-huh.
Wow.
If you look on her Instagram, way at the bottom, you'll
Hmm.
see the very first one she got from Florida because I had to take a picture and we had to hold it up in the whole 9 yards.
Well,
And
because I mean, look how active you are, and I'm so proud of you. I mean, you're telling your story about Dana, and I'm just sitting here allowing you to just share, 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 and I can hear how proud you were in your voice and how active you were. An active father, and I'm so
yeah, for
proud
sure.
of you for doing
Well,
that
thank you,
because we don't,
thank you,
you know,
thank
they
you.
always talk about, especially African American men, the absent dad. Even though you was not with their mother anymore,
Right.
you were active. You were there. It sounds like you were at the games. You knew the coaches. You knew the team. You started learning the league. You were
Oh
there.
yeah.
You know, and that's
No,
just amazing, Darren.
and it was definitely, and I thank you for that. And it definitely became a thing to where like, where's your dad? Oh, there he is. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you saw her and you didn't see me, that's because I'm walking around the corner and here I come. You know what I mean? Or vice versa.
So, how many siblings did Dana have?
7.
7. And what is the
Yeah.
which one was she? Was she the baby
Well,
of the
it's a
7?
combined 7. So I had one. Her mom had 3, and me and her mother created 2, and then I had 2. So that's how we got to 8 total.
Oh, okay. So Dana's not the baby of all 7.
No, Dana's the baby of me and my ex-wife.
Oh, okay. Okay. And
Correct.
does she have any nieces and nephews?
Yes. Three nieces now. Oh my God! Wait a minute. Time out. 5 nieces
Wow.
and uh, 3 boys.
That's a big family.
It is too, and you know what the thing about her is? She was TT to every last single one of them. She was really, oh my God, she was there for her nieces and nephews. Actually, my youngest granddaughter, who unfortunately Dana never met,
Mm,
is actually has Dana's middle name. Her name is Dimney Elise. Dana's middle name was Elise.
that's very
So
beautiful.
my son Daniel named his daughter Dana. I mean Dimney Elise. So she has the same initials but different first name. But so when we ended up leaving West, and we actually left for the club of her love, which is Sunshine Volleyball Club, ran by Carrie Klein. And Sunshine Volleyball Club and Carrie Klein is an institution throughout America. Bottom line, when it comes to um, high school volleyball, she's the head coach of Marymount High School. They've won all kind of national championships. Actually, their last national championship was in 2021, and the day that they won it, they all had Dana's number on heart patches on the side of their sleeve. Okay,
Mm.
and you can see that on her Instagram as well. So we ended up going to Sunshine, and Sunshine was like the equivalent of us leaving like a really good college football team and going to like the Patriots or the Kansas City Chiefs right before the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like it was a
You're
night and
teaching
day
me because I don't
difference.
know anything about volleyball. So to
That's
hear
fine.
all of that, I'm glad. No, this is you're
Yeah, okay.
enlightening everybody, not just me. I'm sure it's other people
Right.
out here listening, and to hear the story, like we're seeing how talented Dana was with volleyball. That's why I'm glad that you're breaking it down the way you are, so
Oh
that we
yeah.
can know.
Cause it gets better. It gets
Yes,
like we're like kind of like maybe almost halfway in her story on volleyball, because once we got to Sunshine, now we're playing with, you know, I won't mention names, but one daughter's dad is the head of a major film studio. Another daughter's dad is an NBA, uh,
mm,
uh, I think Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Uh, one of uh, one of her friends and fellow volleyball teammates is the daughter of a famous wide receiver that everybody knows and loves, and they also try to hate him when they can. But now we're around this different level of people, and the game was a night and day difference from where we
really,
were before till now we are there, and that's actually how she got her nickname Gucci. So um, her coach, again, it was named Carrie Klein, and uh, she is amazing. Her reputation in the volleyball world is out of this world. I can't even begin to tell you all the different accolades behind this lady. But she's the one who actually gave Dana her nickname. And the
hmm
story is there was another girl um, who her name was Daina Gucci. Her father was actually an actor on the TV show White Collar, Tim Decay.
okay.
And so Dana and Dana, that's a
Oh,
syllable off, a vowel off in pronouncing, right? And so Carrie getting tongue tied, Dana,
I could see that happening.
she, yeah, she said to Dana, she said, "Do you have a nickname?" And Dana's nickname is Bucket.
mm,
That's her nickname
from
because
the
Dana had
family.
a big, gigantic bucket head. Okay, her head was ginormous.
We have my
I told
stepdaughter. We call her Applehead. Well, we call her Apples, but that her dad had named her that because he said her head was big and round. So y'all families be giving some jacked up nickname.
I mean, but it's the real though. You know what I mean? Because she had a big head. I told that girl, I said, you better not ever think for 1 second you should do the short hair. Just don't ever do that. She was blessed. My mom and her mother have long hair, natural
So
hair,
you
so
didn't want her to
she
cut her hair
was
because
blessed
you
with
felt her
that.
head was too big for it.
Oh my God! If she would have been walking around with like a short haircut, people would have been walking next to her trying to make sure she didn't tip over. Because how are you walking with this head?
No,
I
they
mean, it
wouldn't
was
have because she's
ginormous,
six
right?
foot three, so they wouldn't even have got to her. Okay,
I
she could
know,
have
right?
rocked it. She could have
So
rocked it.
at the time, everything that came out of her mouth was Gucci this, Gucci that. Are you hungry? Yeah, I'm Gucci. Are you this? Yeah, I'm Gucci. Everything was Gucci, 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 Gucci. So she just said Gucci. And Carrie said, you know what? You are Gucci. And that's how her name was born. And the fact that Carrie and her reputation cemented it by allowing it and now calling her that, it would be, I'm talking about the head coach of Georgia, the head coach of Western Virginia, the head coach of Clemson, the head coach of Arizona, the head coach of Arizona State, the head coach of
They were
Colorado
all
State,
saying
the
Gucci.
head coach of everybody's calling her Gucci. Nobody calls her Dana. I'm feeling
Mm,
weird talking to you right now saying Dana. You
I
know what I mean?
know.
Because we're having a volleyball conversation. Me and my ex-wife never even called her Dana ever again after that. When we would talk to other people and we'd say Dana, They'd be like, who? Oh, Gucci. Oh, yeah, okay. Da, 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 da. So that's how the name Gucci. Now, here's something else that added to that. My daughter, if you could be a fashionista on the volleyball court, she was that. She needed her nails done.
Oh
She
my
needed her hair
goodness.
done.
And
She
I thought
needed
they
to
couldn't
have
even
this.
wear nails in the volleyball.
Boy, wait a minute. Let me just tell you this. So when she said that she wanted to get her nails done first time, I was like, I just knew this was not going to happen, right? So I didn't want to be the bearer of bad news. I'm like, Danny, you're an athlete. You can't get your nails done. Ask, ask Carrie. I'm just knowing Carrie is going to say no. Carrie was like, I don't care. I couldn't believe it. I was like, are you not picking up on my mental telepathy right now? Why are you saying yes?
How are you
I
playing
don't want
volleyball
her.
with nails?
Let me
But
tell you, Lee.
hey, now
When
you know the name is fitting though, right? She's playing
listen
volleyball
to
with her nails.
when you
Choose
scroll,
Gucci.
I'm sure you're gonna scroll, and anybody else who goes to her page because it's public, Daina Gucci at Instagram, and you look at her volleyball, you'll be like, how did this girl find some
But
neon
you
green, pink, and blue shoes to match her neon green, blue, and pink uniform? You know what I'm saying? Like, it, she was, I gotta be good. When her colors was black and gold, she had to have the black and gold shoes to match, and the
But
whole
that's
nine
just
yards.
like
Hair
the
done, the
track
whole nine
star,
yards.
the track
And
star,
I'm
Shakari Richardson. She's like that too with her nails and everything be matching and everything. I think that's what
when
this young
Shikari
generation.
Rich, yeah, when she started, her and Angel Reese
Yes,
are two people
yeah,
that I would say Dana could have been the third musketeer with how they performed in their sport and how they were unapologetic about who they were.
yes,
You know what I
yes,
mean?
yes. But I need
Because
for you real quick because you threw out Dana's Instagram, but I need for you to
uh,
spell Dana because you know they're gonna spell it
okay,
incorrectly.
it's D like dog, A I N like Nancy, A Gucci, Gucci on Instagram, Dana Gucci. So it's Daina.
That's
So me and her mom was trying to be creative, and we didn't want to do the Dana. So
hmm
that's what we came with.
So it's Dana
Um,
Daina Gucci on Instagram.
Daina Gucci. Yeah, Dana Gucci. And that's who she is in the volleyball world. And it's even amazing that to this day, I get on my Instagram right now, there may be 4 to 10 messages from somebody talking about how much they miss her,
Now, since
or
you
sharing a picture, sending us a picture, or telling me a story, or something. I mean, constantly. It
since
hasn't
you
stopped.
tapped in on that, and I don't want us
Mm-hmm.
to run out of time because I want you to be able to give. You shared so much light on Dana, but I want
Right.
you to unfortunately tell us
Okay,
the
I
second
got you.
half of
Okay, so
Dana's
fast
life.
forward. Dana is, setting the volleyball world on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Dana had one major flaw, which was she had a learning disability
Mm.
that I unfortunately was um, ignorant towards the help that is available today, right? So in the sixth grade, no, the fourth grade, she got tested and they wanted to put her in some special classes because they discovered she had a learning disability. But me, myself, I'm thinking the little bus, the kids in the back of the school,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, no, you're not getting ready to do that to my daughter. And that was my major mistake as a father because if I would have been educated enough to know that this was the best course of action for her, then she probably would have thrived stronger as a student. But because she struggled as a student, we had to take an unorthodox route to where we were going as far as her volleyball pursuits are concerned. So basically,
But in all fairness, just to tap in on that education thing, in all fairness, in the areas that we grew up in, it was considered like that. It was taboo. They didn't
Right,
help the babies. You know,
right,
they labeled them and they got a check for them. So,
right,
as you were able to get Dana into these other prestigious schools, that's when, the assistance probably would have been better for her at that time. But I
right,
wouldn't have fault
right,
yourself for doing that, because that's your father mode coming out and you're protecting her. And we already know that once they label the kids like that, they don't really, well, where we came from, they didn't really train them and teach them how to
right.
overcome that disability, how to work with it. They kind of just
No, I agree.
count them out.
I totally, I totally think that if I that would be the one mistake that I wish I could go back and change. To be honest with you, I would actually, and this is surprising that I'm even realizing this. I would actually go back and change that before I would go back and change her murder.
Mm.
And the reason why is because Dana was so insecure. It was just
You think she
for
was
her to
insecure
have
about
been
her
as
learning?
popular as. I'm sorry,
You think she was insecure about her education, her learning?
definitely, because even though she was okay with reading, math was a real issue with her.
Hmm.
Spelling was an issue for her, and just being able to kind of understand, she needed to maybe get the information in more of a consolidated space. You follow me? Because with her sitting in a classroom full of 30, 40 kids, she turned into the class clown to get the attention. You follow me? Instead of asking for the help to learn something.
Yeah, it was a
So,
deflection, because I,
right,
I dealt with one of my children with that as well, and I
right.
did the same thing you did, and I think that is one of my regrets as well. But I hired tutors to come to the house and assist with those areas that my child needed, that extra assistance. And the reason I didn't do it is exactly what I said, is because she was talking about college, and her special ed, well, she didn't go to special ed, but the special ed counselor told her that she doesn't qualify for college and she should probably find an alternative. And I was livid, and I went and removed her from everything, because that just showed
Um,
me you was not trying to assist. And I found out that, yeah, she still could have went, and it would have been easier for her to get in because she could have got in under a special program. But
right,
they don't
right.
tell you those things. They just counted her off. So I understand your feeling as a parent, because I wish I could have did stuff differently too when it comes to stuff
Yeah,
like that.
and then her too. I never really picked up on until she kind of got around 16, 17. I never really picked up on how much she was uh, maybe taken advantage of, teased, poked on, picked on by her older brothers and sisters also too. You know what I mean? Because she's just as tall as them, now taller, at some time, but she wasn't mentally on their level. So
Mm,
they would do stuff like, you know, if you wash these dishes for me, and I'll do that for you, and then she would do it, and then they wouldn't do whatever. So they took
mm,
advantage of her in a loving way because they're brothers and sisters, of course. It wasn't nothing harmful, but in hindsight, being a parent, I wish I was more keyed into how they were treating her because I feel like a lot of her insecurities started from, being teased from her brothers and sisters for being so tall. You know what I mean? That was a big thing for her that I never knew about it until she was like until her junior year of high school. She started telling me about how it hurt her being so tall when she was so young.
mm, mm.
And the conversation actually came up about how she's happy that everybody's catching up to her height, you know. And then she started talking about how being so tall and being called a giraffe and this
She
like
was just
things
bullied,
like that.
and I think we
Uh,
had that discussion too, because I could relate with Dana on being bullied growing up, And you were like,
Right.
I don't believe that, Lee. But yeah, I was bullied too, and I was
Oh wait, hold on for
insecure.
your listeners.
W-
I don't believe all that because Lee
Oh,
was talking about I was buck tooth, I was
I
this, that, and the other.
was.
But hold on. If y'all ain't seen Lee, you need to go on her Instagram. You're gonna be like, yeah, Lee, you lying.
No, I did. I had
She's
crooked front
gorgeous.
teeth, and
She's
I
gorgeous.
had to get my braces, and I was teased. I was bony. I was, homey. So I understand that. And kids are cruel. And I used to get
Right.
bullied, and kids are cruel. And then, and it's just, I so can relate when you were telling me how Dana felt, and it just hurt my heart because I'm like how you say how I look now, or well, you've known me for years, but she
Right.
didn't get her chance to evolve into who she was going to be, you know.
I think that I think that what she did, I definitely know, but I think that what she did was that, and actually was the best plan after it's all said and done, and she's now in another place. I think what she did was she overcompensated by being nice
Yeah,
to everybody while also being funny and fun. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
um, I think that that was the thing that
That
kind
was
of
her
made
way of
her
wanted people to like
keep
her.
people. Yeah, and she, um, no joke, and I've talked about this before, but during her wake, I want to say at least 2 dozen kids came up to either me or my ex-wife and told us stories on how Dana saved their lives.
Mm,
And there was this one boy that I'll never forget. He walked up to me, and I wish I had asked him his name, but I was so in the moment of the vigil, and also too what he said to me. I was kind of like an out of body experience to me, but he had came up to me. This is like after it's all, news cameras have left, the DJ's now putting everything up, and everybody's kind of making their way to give us last hugs before they leave. And I noticed him kind of just standing there looking at me. And, now I'm remembering it, he was waiting to come and talk to me like in a line, but it wasn't a line, right? And he walked up to me and he finally got to me and he said, I had to make sure I was here today because I don't know, I'm on my way to college and I don't think I'll be there for the funeral, but I had to come today because she was so important to me and she didn't even know me. I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, well, we had the same classes kind of all the time in high school. And um, uh, he had went to because Danny went to Santa Monica for 2 years and then went to Culver. He also went to Santa Monica for 1 year, but ended up his last 2 years at Culver, right?
mm,
So Dana's 10th grade year, they were together and had classes, and then at Santa Monica, then at Culver, 11 to 12, they had classes as well. And he walked up to me, he said, I didn't really know her, I didn't really, didn't really have any friends, I'm here by myself. He said, but Dana, every morning, she would ask me how I was doing and tell me to have a good day. And that was the only reason why I decided not to kill myself the night before.
mm.
She literally was the person, my only light every day. And when he told me that, I'm 6'5", 300 pounds. He could have blew me over with a tip of a feather. You know what I mean? Because I just couldn't believe the emotion and how he was saying. I mean, he started crying. You know what I mean? And it was just a moment. Even right now, I'm getting chills even thinking about that. My daughter being cordial consistently was all that another human being needed to have the strength to continue to live.
Doesn't that speak
You know what I
volumes?
mean?
Doesn't that speak
It
volumes
does.
on who her
It
character
does.
was? Because
And I know he's going to hear this, and I know I might get it. I don't know, but I would be surprised if I don't get a DM saying, thank you for that. You know what I mean? Because the girl was just Man, the girl was just amazing. Like and I know everybody thinks that their children are amazing, and I too think my children are amazing. But I've gotten validation in so many different
Mm,
areas and moments of my life that had nothing to do with me being a parent to her.
it was
If
all
that makes any
her.
sense,
Yeah,
you
it
know
was
what I
her.
mean?
It was who she was, her character.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
She was just, she was just, she was missed. Like I said, this happened, in 2021. We're in 2024 right now. The college volleyball world is starting the playoff series. Um, right now, I can name at least 10 major players on the college level. I'm talking about in college
Hmm.
schools like Texas, Duke, Georgetown, Stanford, Pitt, that are literally playing their games with Dana's number written on their
Well, she would
shoes.
have been right alongside of them, right? They
She would have
all,
been a senior this year.
yeah,
Yeah,
in
for sure.
college, in
Yeah, she
college.
would have been a senior graduating, and we would have been preparing for the Olympics right now.
Mhm, mhm.
That was the plan. We was going to the Olympics, so uh,
So
it just was
Darren,
just a definite thing.
let's share with the audience what actually happened with Dina. Tune in next week, January 20th, 2025, to hear part two of Dana's life story, Daina Gucci Monroe, through the eyes of her father, on The Truth with Miss Lee. Stay tuned.